During these times, we've had so many different people talk about mental health and empathy and stress and anxiety, and all of those things are important. And every time I bring up what I'm about to share with you, is people get very literal, but you can't do that. People are stressed. People are really going through tough times. The world is not literal. The world is not always right and wrong. It's not one color or the other. It's usually gray. There are sunny days and there are cloudy days. And so when we are coaching and developing our people, one of the toughest things that we have to do is be empathetic, but not lose sight that we're all in a reality show. And I always love to bring context through a story. And I was talking to a team leader of one of our client sites and manufacturing, and she was not performing as well as she should or could. And she kept telling me about life and how tough it was. And I finally stopped her and I said, look, I have to ask you a question. We're talking about work. We're talking about performance on the floor. We're talking about you motivating your team, managing your team, coaching your team, mentoring your team. You keep bringing up your home life. I'm not against having that conversation. I owe it to you to be candid. We have a job to do, and you keep going to this shelf and grabbing things off of it and putting it in front of you as if you're almost giving yourself a free pass or an excuse. She goes, oh, that's not what I'm trying to do. I said, my mistake. What are you trying to do? And then she smiled because she didn't know what to say, because that was, I think, what she was trying to do, not consciously, not with malice or poor intent. She just struggled. She's just struggling. So as the conversation ensued, I did something. I married the two issues. I said, look, a lot of stuff's going on at home with the kids. You're stressed. I get that, right? When you're at work, void of the stress of work, how does being at work give you a little bit of a break from this? And she said, yeah, it's great. You know, my boyfriend jumps in. He's great with the kids. It's really been great. And her whole tone changed because she disassociated the two. See, we're very literal. So when I tell somebody, get to work, well, you got to be empathetic. And if you're too empathetic, oh my gosh, we're not doing a job well done. So the challenge is how do we marry these worlds? We have to be conscientious of what goes on. So during the course of conversation with this team leader, she literally said to me something, and I want you to hear it because many people say it, and I guarantee you a lot of people feel it. We label leadership. Well, she said, my boss just doesn't care. I said, he doesn't care, huh? She said, no, he doesn't care. I said, so how do you know he doesn't care? Well, you can just tell. I said, great, take me through that. I'm smiling, and I know her really well. And she said, well, you can just tell. I said, well, no, you just told me he doesn't care. So I'm wondering how you know he doesn't care. She said, you do this to me all the time. I said, I just want you to be realistic, not assumptive. She said, I get the sense that he doesn't care. I said, awesome. I said, forget that he cares or he doesn't care. Let me ask you a question. What's he going through? She looked at me. She said, what do you mean? I said, what's he going through? Because the start of this conversation, you kept bringing stuff off the shelf about your kids, the stress at home, all the things you're going through. What's he going through? And what do you think he's getting from his bosses? And she said, a lot of pressure, and it just swims downstream. And I said, where would you like him to have that swim? And she said, well, not all the time. I said, oh, great. How much time? And she said, oh, you ask good questions. We started laughing. I said, that was a great stall. Where's he supposed to communicate that? If he's held by numbers and you're one of the people who needs to push that down into the teams, he's probably following the proper channels. He may not do it to your liking. He may communicate it in a way that isn't suffice, or it doesn't hit home, or it doesn't resonate. That I get. But wouldn't you agree he's got some stuff going on? She said, yeah, tone changes. See, people lose perspective. It's not because they're bad people. We have to be empathetic. We have to be thoughtful. Yet we also have a job to do. money not coming in because we're not doing our job and customers leave us, we're not going to be in business. So I share this with all of you. This is a new acronym we've came up with here at Progress Coaching called Coaching Tough. And Tough stands for tenacious, outstanding, understanding, giving, and helpful. And every week we have to represent two of those letters of the acronym Tough and a specific action that we did inside the company and outside the company that represented that. And yesterday I went to a local grocer and it was a young lady who was waiting on me. And I said, I just love that you have this point system and we get to take our points and we can redeem it for food or milk and cookies and things like that. But they also have a feature to redeem it for Feeding America. So between my wife and I, we're up to like 60 meals, meaning 60 people got a meal. And I'm like, this is so cool that you guys do this. And I shared that with some people and they're like, I didn't know they did that. A couple other people went in. And when we aren't conscientious of what we need to do for mental health, anxiety, stress, those are important things. We also have a job to do. We have to be tough, not tough like we ignore the reality of the stresses of the world, but tough because we do have a job to do. Those two cannot be mutually exclusive from each other. We cannot run a company, have our numbers get lower, go into the CEO's office and say, boss, I got to tell you, our numbers are in the toilet, but I have to tell you, we have been really empathetic. Now, some of you might think I'm being obnoxious, yet people will want it to be very literal. People will want to be understood, and dare I say, given a free pass. We need to be empathetic with reality. The reality is we all work for companies or organizations. If we do not have business coming in, if we do not have revenue coming in, if you're a nonprofit, if you do not have fundraising coming in, reality is this: you cannot operate. There's just no argument with that. And so we have to, as leaders, be very cautious of being empathetic, but not at the expense of reality. We also cannot be so driven to drive reality that it drives an understanding of us being non-empathetic. It's a balance act. I'll save you some time. It is not a perfect balance. It's always up and down. Now, our company, we talk about this all the time. I teach coaching in the workplace for 26 years. I don't know if we've ever really done it perfectly well. Yet, if you make this a conscientious thought to share this stuff, people will become more understanding. Yet we have a job to do. If you're empathetic and you're sensitive and you're caring, it doesn't mean we stop working hard. It just means that we have to show people we care, that we're there for them, and that we have to invest in them and their well-being while we have a job to do. I can't go to my clients and say, sorry, we got to cancel everything this year. My people are kind of stressed out. Now, I'm being very manic in my description, yet employees will do that. Times have been tough. It's been tough for all of us. Some good, not so good, some devastated, some not so devastated. It's a mixed bag. Yet we all have a job to do. Let me know your thoughts.